So this morning, because I just came back from camping and other things, I'm a little lean in the laundry department. And when I get lean, I have to go towards, socks that aren't my favorite and underwear that's not my favorite. And so I put on a pair that I've had for a long time. They're a pair of like red, skimpy kind of bikini briefs, which is not normally my style. I'm not a big banana hammock wearer. Although, I can appreciate, the functionality of it in some ways, especially when it's not too hot out. It's a nice cool day, banana hammock can work. But I noticed that the brand is, I'm not sure if you can read this. Here's the brand. Can you read that? Poco. Now, it's been a few years since I've taken Spanish, but I don't believe that's a flattering term to be aimed at my genitals. My genitals need to be lifted up, inspired, cradled, if you will. So, I was thinking about that, and I posted actually online. I made a joke about it, and then I remembered, oh my gosh, the last time I made fun of an underwear's marketing, I got sued. Did you know that? I actually, I did a story. Actually, it was part of my paper zine before I ever got on the internet. So this is one of the first things I ever wrote as part of my zine. It was called Meat of the Loom. And just for the heck of it, I'm going to read it. And then what happened afterwards. Marketing miracle of the century. Meat of the Loom. How did the advertising wizards at Fruit of the Loom convince the homophobic consumers of our nation to cradle their manly organs in a binding piece of clothing with the word fruit on it? I would have thought Meat of the Loom would be better targeted at the American male. Their actual marketing strategy is actually so bizarre it bordered on science fiction. They dressed up grown men in fruit costumes. What were these stoners thinking? I can only guess that they were shooting for that whole 70s Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds tie-dye market. The Fruit of the Loom company was able to prosper using a man in a foam rubber bunch of grapes costume, including purple leggings. This is proof that use of psychedelics was much more higher in this country than experts thought. And I wonder what the campaign development process was like. What kind of ideas came up in the brainstorming process before they settled on Fruit of the Loom? I'm thinking maybe fruit of the loins, banana in my briefs, looming fruit in my undies, fruity panties, fruit of the looming penis, fruit pants, fruit bowl briefs, fruit in the room, fruit salad in my pants, or maybe even crotch full of produce. Finally, and I wasn't going to bring this up, but if you wonder what a loom was, if you look it up, you might see the first obvious definition and continue on your merry, ignorant way. A loom can mean a machine or device from which cloth is produced. But the dictionary dweller with a veteran view of corporate conspiracy would look further. There are 3 other definitions of loom, each equally frightening. To appear to the mind in a magnified and threatening form. This certainly gives weight to the psychedelic drug use men in fruits costume theory. The shaft of an oar is another one. And this is the third one. The third one is LOOM, also stands for Loyal Order of the Moose. No shit. Look it up. Okay, so I published that in like 96. And then, like 2 years later, I received an email and a letter that was a cease and desist order from Fruit of the Loom. Keep in mind, at this time, I think I was living at my parents' house, or maybe with an older woman who was kind of paying the bills. It's details. The point is, I had no money, I had nothing, and this big company sent me the cease and desist. So I wrote him back, and so I asked my dad, because my dad at the time was a lawyer, and I said, Dad, isn't this parody? Isn't this kind of protected speech? And he said, yeah, I'm sure they just did a blanket search on their trademark, and then they just sent out emails to everybody. So just write them back, tell them to explain, I'm sure they'll notice that it was an oversight, and it'll be fine. So I wrote back, Dear Ross Blair, Corporate Counsel for Fruit of the Loom, I received your cease and desist email and frankly I'm a bit confused. Could you please explain to me how my webpage infringes on your trademark? Text of article included at this email. The article in question is clearly parody. I'm having trouble seeing how my article does you any damage. I merely publish an online magazine for non-commercial purposes. I do not sell underwear, t-shirts, or fruit costumes. I doubt anyone is confusing your esteemed company with my attempt at humor. P.S. Thanks for visiting prehensile.com, where there's a new tale every Monday, mostly non-underwear related. I thought that would be it. So he wrote me back, and it basically, his response kind of sounded like, look kid, we're a huge company with a team of lawyers, and if you want to fight us, it is going to be so expensive, we will crush you. Different wording, but that was the tone. Now, this is 98. The internet is new, and I am inflated with the sense of collective action of the internet. I am a believer. I think the world is about to change, and here this big company is saying, you know, trying to infringe their power in the old power structure, and I was like, F you, man. And so my dad said, you know, he says, they're crazy. And so with some advice from him, and also saying, look, you know, I can give you advice. I'm not gonna like go to Connecticut for a lawsuit though. So here's some things we can do. So this is what I did. First, I started publishing all of our correspondence online, his emails and my emails, including their email address. And then I talked to, at the time, there was a fairly small community of online publishers, so I contacted some people that I knew, like Jeffrey Zeldman was one of them, which was you know, a close online friend at the time, and a bunch of other popular publishers. And they were all like, dude, fuck that, we got your back. And so a bunch of people made little banner ads that said things like, keep your loom off our loins, and you know, freedom of speech doesn't end at an elastic waistband, and started putting them all over their sites. And then Wired magazine picked it up and did a story about it. And pretty soon, I was starting to get a lot of traffic, and a lot of people were writing Fruit of the Loom. And this was early internet days, so this was back when, well, I guess there's still a lot of crazies on the internet, but I think the ratio of regular folk to nut jobs was skewed higher towards nut jobs in 98. God love them. So and pretty soon, Fruit of the Loom recognized that they were in a shitstorm, and the other thing I did is my dad helped me to file papers to sue them for a declaratory rights, which basically the purpose of that was to say if we go to court, it would go to court in San Diego, so that I wouldn't have to travel and incur all those costs of that. I was having the courts recognize that I have the right to do this, and then if they fought that, the fight would be here. That was really cool because, like, for a lot of father-son, you know, they might bond over like learning how to work on the car or like throwing the ball around. This was our bonding experience. It was actually very cool. So next thing that happens is they basically write this apology and retreat. And it became one of the very first examples of the collective web going head-to-head against a corporation and winning. And that was a huge moment in my life, because then I suddenly had an experience that put me in a place of expertise on the web, and I started being invited to speak at things like South by Southwest and other conferences, which shifted my world into a very exciting place and direction. A lot of things like that have happened in my life that have directed me exactly where I was supposed to be. And that is why I still do not wear Fruit of the Loom underwear or shirts. Not that I hold a grudge, it's just a matter of principle.